L to the OG. And you know the rest, because I am not doing the rest. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-ba. Hello, homies. Welcome to Thumb Together TV. My name is Andrew Fantasia, and today we're going to be talking about Succession Season 2, Episode 8, Dundee, together. As usual, if you enjoyed this video, please feel free to give it a thumbs up and give some love to that subscribe button as well. Otherwise, somebody's going to write an embarrassing rap about me, and we'll never be able to get that image out of our heads. Last week, we were in the UK, where we were last season for the wedding. It was nice. It was a cool little change of pace. Now, before hopping back across the Atlantic to see New York once again, the Roy family has decided to make a pit stop in Dundee, Scotland, because Dundee, Scotland is where Logan Roy grew up. It is his hometown, and guess what? The hometown is throwing a big gala for him to celebrate that he has been running Waystar Royco for 50 straight years. Damn! That's impressive. Also, it really hit home for me in this episode that considering he is a mega rich billionaire from Scotland who has a lot of younger family members who are just kind of chomping at the bit to get his money, Logan Roy is pretty much Scrooge McDuck. So you could look at Succession as like a live-action DuckTales adaptation, completely up to you. I'm just going to leave that on the table for you. What's interesting about Dundee, the episode, not the actual place, although I'm sure the actual place is lovely. But what's interesting about the episode, Dundee, is that we get a few more snippets of Logan Roy's past, significantly his childhood. And when I say snippets, folks, I'm really talking like bare bones snippets, like scraps. Nothing meaty enough to chew on. The writers of Succession have purposely left Logan's past shrouded in mystery, but we have gotten hints. Last season, we saw him getting out of a pool, and we saw that his back was covered in very heavy-looking scars that looked like they were from a belt, and we know he doesn't get along with his brother. This season, we find out that there was a sister, apparently, named Rose, who died, and Logan blames himself for her death. We also find out that Logan's mother passed away when he was very young. He also has many memories of Dundee, but they're not exactly fond memories, are they? He drives past the bandstand at one point, and he looks at the bandstand and is like, oh, look at that, there's the bandstand. And when he's pressed by Connor and the others, be like, oh, tell us a story, what's going on with this bandstand? Logan's response is a very typical non-response. It's so Logan, where he's just like, oh, things happened, and, they happened, and now here we are. As this party moves forward, we see Siobhan really moving against Rhea Jarrell, and to make matters worse, somebody is willing to sue Waystar Royco over some horrible discrepancies that have went down back in the 90s in Parks and Cruises, but this person is not intimidated by bullying or threats or large sums of money to the tune of $20 million. This person is unafraid of legal fees. Clearly they have some kind of benefactor keeping them safe. And Ewan Roy all but says out loud that he is probably, in fact, that benefactor, and he is finally going to get his vengeance on his brother for whatever tiff they may have had in the past. Now, Ewan Roy has played a very small part in the show so far, but this episode he really seems to be weaseling his way into the forefront of things, including getting in the way of Greg's career, which has been off to a good start, but now Greg's caught between a rock and a hard place because he's like, well, do I continue this career and live my life at the cost of the $250 million that I would have inherited from my grandfather, or do I listen to my grandfather, take his inheritance, but piss off Logan Roy and probably destroy any chance at a career I would ever have with the family? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I do not envy Gregory. Now, one thing I find really interesting is that, the show is called Succession, and this is the first time, we're at 18 episodes in, and this is the first time Logan Roy has ever made an official statement naming a successor to the throne. What interests me about this is that it takes place in this episode, and I feel like this episode is one of the more down-key episodes we've gotten in the whole series. It is literally like the calm before the storm. You can tell shit's gonna get real next week, especially if you saw the promo like I did. Next week, the noose starts to tighten around Waystar Royco. Let me just put it that way. That lawsuit is not going away. So maybe the writers knew that. Maybe they knew that this was a very slow sort of build-up episode to get the ball rolling for 9 and 10, and that it would be good to close it out with the formal announcement and kind of see what the repercussions of that are going to be. Frankly, I think said repercussions are going to involve Rhea Jarrell inheriting a company that suddenly she does not know what to do with and has more problems than she was prepared for. Because remember, Rhea doesn't know about this lawsuit as far as we can tell. And I'm still not 100% convinced that Logan is truly blinded by Rhea. He seems like he's been too smart to fall for something like that, so I don't know what is going on there. But I'm really fascinated by what's going on between him and Marcia, because it looks like Marcia is all but leaving him. She stepped up and became one of my favorite characters of this episode, because she does not seem to care that Logan is sleeping with other women. Hell, all she cares about is that Rhea Jarrell is testing positive for sexually transmitted diseases, because Marcia doesn't want to catch nothing. But what pisses Marcia off is that Logan didn't tell her he was naming Rhea as his successor. And that tells me so much about Marcia that I didn't know before, because she was always a question mark. I always brought that up. Marcia's a big question mark for me. But this episode kind of put an answer to that question. Does she truly love Logan Roy, or does she love the power that she knows she holds being his wife? And I think the answer is B, the power, because we saw here, she doesn't give a damn who her husband is sleeping with on the side. She gives a damn that he took the power away from her and gave the company to an outsider. That's what pissed her off enough to make her leave the party, and from the looks of things, maybe even leave him. This seemed like something really serious. She says to him before she leaves, "You broke something here today." That's some heavy shit. Now you can tell that this season, with only 2 episodes left, is barreling towards some kind of explosive conclusion. I have a feeling that the company is going to get shaken to its foundations. I wouldn't be surprised if the Roys lose the company by the end of the season. I think that might be not a safe bet, but a secure bet. A bet where I can put my chips on it and feel comfortable and still get admiring looks from the people standing around the casino table. And now we know that HBO has renewed the show for a 3rd season, so I'm going to put this out there right now. In the 3rd season, I would like to see, even though it seems like it's against the writer's interest to do this, I would like to see flashbacks of the past, because we've never gotten that. I would like to see flashbacks of not just the kids' past living under the shadow of their father, but of Logan's childhood with Ewan. And I'd like to see what was going on there, because that life is an interesting life. And Logan seems content to just sort of throw a blanket over it, put it in the past, and almost pretend it never existed and just keep looking forward. Like he says in this episode, the past is, bullshit. The future is real. The future is what's real, and the future is what I want. When a person is absolutely not nostalgic in any way, shape, or form the way Logan is, he is severely defensively anti-nostalgia. Something went down back then, whether it's this whole deal with Rose, whether it's his relationship with his brother and his father, maybe all of the above from the sounds of things. Logan Roy's childhood was not a happy one. It may not have been a poverty-stricken one like the local Dundee legends suggest, but happy? I am severely starting to doubt that. So that is Succession Dundee. We have 2 episodes left, folks. Don't forget, if you like great stories like Succession itself, maybe you would like to check out this book right here, which I wrote. This is Side Scroller. That's my name right there, Andrew Fantasia. Side Scroller is a novel. It is an adventure romance set in a world that runs on the logic of video games. And it's 2 heaping tons of fun. Look how thick it is. When you're done reading it, you can use it as a paperweight, a doorstop, throwing it at protesters, maybe. I don't condone that. But this book's available for purchase on Amazon.com, and you can get it in paperback or ebook. I like to cover all the bases. But that's Thumb Together TV. My name is Andrew Fantasia. Thank you so much for tuning in. I will see you here next time, and until then, adios.